The radio guy, Mike Prince. Welcome to another episode of the Mike Prince Show. Our special guest today would be none other Southland man himself. That's Rob Butler. How you doing today, my man?
And I'm doing good, Mike. I just bought Madden. I got a PlayStation 4, and I'm a realist. I like to be real, so I got the Texans, and I traded DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson, and that's working out. So far so good. I'm 3-0.
Look, only in the game. My man.
Only in the game. Well, okay, and that's perpetual optimism. I also made my sliders a little bit on the, favorable to me. So, I like to score a lot of points. So yeah, I guess that I don't know if I have a slight advantage, but hey, you got to be optimistic. So.
You know what? In the season of Corona, brother, let optimism lead the way. How about that?
That's right.
Well, look, there've been talks with the NIL for the name and image and likeness deal with the NCAA, and they just let out this week's report will not allow a sports to make a college game. That's strange.
And I just read something on that. Ironically, there's some glitches there. There's somebody that says, no, it's not unworkable, as they say, but that's just kind of a wait and see thing. Hopeful that they would bring it back. I'm more of a college guy, that.
Absolutely. It takes us back to 2007 or 8. I believe that was the last college game that they made.
Actually, it was 2014 was the last one. 2014.
Well, the 20 was it? Which one was it that you could actually?
Oh, okay. So you're talking about when they had the actual FCS with it.
Yeah,
right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Right. That was my favorite one, and you know what? Might have to see if I can find that joker on eBay or Amazon or something. Try to resurrect that game. That game was epic, man, and I liked it simply because it had the FCS clubs. And speaking of the FCS clubs, man, last time you and I got together, we were talking about the one that got away, the one that was taken away, in regards of Mississippi Valley versus Lamar. You recall that conversation, my friend?
Yes, I do. And I was at the game with my parents, as a matter of fact. And, from what I remember, from the jump, Lamar wore all white uniforms, and Valley had their home uniforms on, which I thought was odd. And I can recall one instance where that's happened before. A&M played at Mississippi State in 2012 when they first got in the SEC, and they wore all white. So, but that's the only time I ever saw it before. So I was like, that's strange. But I told people going into this game, I'm in a Lamar group, a alumni football group, and people were saying before the game, making comments like, well, I hope we get our starters some rest by the third quarter, and making comments like that. And I said, whoa. I said, this is the FCS team. This is where Jerry Rice played. They're going to be ready to play. And the previous week, Valley lost to Tennessee State 26-20. Now, Tennessee State is kind of an average marginal. They went 4-5 in 2018. So I knew this would be a battle, and nobody really saw it that way, but I did not think Lamar would run away with this.
Well, I think you were probably one of the few and the outside thinkers from the SWAC when the Valley could come to Texas and pull off what would have been considered an upset. And my recollection, my friend, now you were there in person, and I have to give you an inside nudge on that one. I happened to listen to that game by way of the broadcast over the radio. And it was a very competitive game from A Street. And B Street was a game that Valley had begun to take control of midway second quarter, actually leading up to a few moments left in the fourth quarter. Do you recall seeing that game that way?
I remember the second quarter where Lamar's quarterback, Jordan Hoy, he struggled to throw the ball early, and Valley, they were playing well defensively, and I remember that quarterback, Bryant. He was impressive. He was gashing our defense. And their offense just had Lamar on the ropes. And I remember Valley scoring first. They went up 7-0. And head coach for Valley, that Vincent Dancy, now he was a defensive coordinator, I believe, before he took over as head coach. So they were controlling the time of possession. And Brian didn't throw too much. And both those offenses were they were a little sluggish with penalties, but Valley had over 100 yards in the first half.
Right, and it's ironic that you brought up the word penalty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you recall the penalty that was or wasn't gave life to your old Lamar Cardinals?
Okay, I three come to mind as a matter of fact, and I will admit this, and not to make comparisons, but I'm also an A&M fan. My dad graduated from A&M, so when they beat LSU 74-72, yeah, there were. I mean, I hate to say it, but some of the calls went our way there, and it was just like this in this game. In the third quarter, there was a questionable call. There was a Miles Wanza fumble. It was ruled an incomplete pass.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Then the fourth quarter, called a break. We should have been called for interference, but they didn't. They did not call it. Now,
actually, hold on. Let's hit the pause, my friend.
okay.
They called it and picked the flag up.
I stand corrected then. Okay.
They
Okay.
actually called and they had a huddle. They said, no, it didn't happen. We're like, wait a minute.
Right.
Well, go ahead and finish.
No.
There was another one. There was another one that was critical.
Okay, I remember.
What you remember?
I remember the overtime. And Ryan.
Before we get to overtime, my friend.
Okay.
It was fourth quarter. I'm running out. Down. You need, I believe it was a field goal you needed. Send it to overtime.
Right, yeah.
And you went for it on fourth down. They call phantom pass interference. It's Mississippi Valley. Recall that play.
Maybe a 4th and 6 or something like that. It would maybe they convert. I think they had a swing pass or maybe it was a screen out of the backfield. I remember what Miles Wanza converting a 4th and 6, and yeah, I don't know.
We're having fun today, my friend.
I didn't think of that one off the top of my head, but yeah, that's maybe that. Okay, that might be number 4. I don't know.
Of course, you didn't think about that because you benefited from it, my friend.
Yeah, well, I'd say the football guys were looking out for us.
And I can recall when that happened and went to overtime. But with all that being set aside, extremely competitive and exciting game from beginning to end. And it was unfortunate that Valley came up short, and it extended the dominance that I've had a personal struggle with the Southland teams beating Southwestern Athletic Conference teams. Do you see this as dominant performance strictly because better play calling, talent, combination of all?
Here's the deal. Valley had 48 freshmen last year, and with 48 freshmen, and they went 2-9, and they were competitive in a lot of their games. So I really don't think I don't know much about the SWAC, but I don't think Valley will be the doormat in the years to come. And I have to say about Lamar, I originally said it would be 4 to 5 years. I think it'll be more like 3, maybe 4. Let's just say 3. Really feel like this year's going to be rough. Maybe 2-9. I hate to throw records out there, but I'm just saying. Schultz went 2-9 in his first year. And then I expect a rebound and winning season year 2, and by year 3, I would think a legitimate playoff contender. You know, and, would think that I don't see Blaine Morgan staying his whole career at Lamar. You know, you're an up and comer. You get a good FCS job and you build it, and then you move on to FBS possibly. I don't think I think Lamar expecting him to retire there, but as far as the SWAC and the Southland Conference, I would hope to see more of these games. They draw a lot of fans, and and with what's going on with this pandemic and the economy and the athletic departments and these regional schools, it would be wise to schedule more games with the Southland and the SWAC.
No
Agree?
doubt. No doubt at all, my friend. And as a matter of fact, I've been on record for saying if there were not talks about that, there need to be accelerated talks about that coming the very near future because it makes sense logically for traveling, as you mentioned, for the fan appearance. Now, we do have to admit now, maybe you can help me. Sometimes it appears that the Southland fans don't travel as well as we would like to see them.
Well, I'll tell you this. I know from my experience, if there's a game, now traveling all the way to Abilene, I live in Orange, Texas. That's probably not feasible. But if there's a game in Nacogdoches or Huntsville or Houston, and Lake Charles, of course, because that's only 35 miles away. But you're talking about a 3-hour radius, and I think most of the fan base of these schools in the Southland Conference, they would agree that that they would travel a couple hours, but any more than that, it's tiresome to stay in a car that long. Kind of on my bucket list for me personally, I'd like to visit all these stadiums in the Southland Conference because I like them all. I want to go to Abilene. I want to go to Southeast Louisiana and Hammond, and I will make those drives. But it's very tough to college football in general. Attendance is down. That's just all across the board.
No doubt about it, it's down, and it's going to be down for the foreseeable future, especially with everything that we're experiencing right now. And there are going to have to be some creative ways. And part of that, what we touched on earlier, would be start setting up some of these regional Southland SWAC games. We're talking right now with Rob Butler, our Southland correspondent for the Open Mic Broadcast Network. And I'll shed a little light on the situation when you spoke about Mississippi Valley. Mississippi Valley are one of the schools in the conference of the Southwestern Athletic Conference that is on that struggle grid, if you would. They're not fully funded. I believe they have 36, 38 scholarships available for their football program, which is very low compared to the 63 that are allowed. And there are some budget challenges, but for what Vincent Dancy has to work with, he does an exceptional job of putting out a competitive team. Sometimes our records will not really truly speak how competitive these programs are, and that happens to be the case for Mississippi Valley. But brighter days are in the very near future for them, and I would like to see, I don't know if there was a home and home, but does Lamar plan on returning favor to go to Ida Bena, Mississippi to play Valley?
Well, no, not this year, but I will tell you this. Mississippi Valley State plays 2 Southland Conference teams this year. They play at Nichols on September 5th, and they play at Sam on September 12th. Now, whether that's a home and home or barring, anything unforeseen, I mean, if we start the season on time, I don't know about all that. That's as it stands right now. They play 2 Southland Conference teams this year. Those are away games.
Sure, it will be very interesting to see, and of course, we'll have our recap moments on those games as well. Rob, you, I know, have did a report talking about some of the players that are going to get an opportunity for some NFL competition. Do you have anything in your crystal ball, or who could be a sleeper to come out of the Southland Conference if given the opportunity?
Well, here's the deal. I had Roy C. He's a linebacker for Houston State. He was a potential one, and then quarterback Chase Forcade, uh, Nichols, and Tamrick Pace, wide receiver SFA. And you got Xavier Lewis. He was a cornerback for Southeastern Louisiana. Uh, Unfortunately, we didn't have a good draft for FCS this year. It really and a lot of that's due to not being able to have those pro days and things like that. But know that there's a couple of players signed free agent contracts. I think one of those was the Central Arkansas offensive lineman, uh, Hunter Watts. I think that's his name. I believe he signed with Denver. I'm not positive. Yeah, actually he did. He's signed a free agent contract with the Denver Broncos, and the other one was a Northwestern State offensive lineman, and his name right off the top of my head, I don't recall, but give me a minute. It will come to me. But no, those two signed free agent contracts, but overall it was not really a good year for FCS.
With that being said, my friend, and with the 2020 season hanging in limbo, could probably get worse because the pro days that you spoke of and the opportunity to play guys that are in that FCS rank be the ones on the outside looking in because they're going to go where it's safe. They've had customarily successful rates going with your Power Fives and your Group of Five ball players, and that's why it's extremely important that something happens. But I'm going to go out on a limb with my crystal ball. For whatever reason, ball is not played. Watch out for an immediate explosion, quote unquote, pro day camps across the nation to give smaller schools opportunities to display in times of running 40s and agility tests and all of that to display to the NFL scouts at least an opportunity for a free agency invite. I can see that coming in the very near future.
Mike, the lineman, the Northwestern State offensive lineman, it's come to my mind now. It's Jonathan Hubbard. He signed with the Miami Dolphins Sunday morning. He's 6'4", 190 pounds. He's from Kilgore, so good for him. That's the only two we have those far. But that's who knows what's going to happen in the near future.
Absolutely, absolutely. Rob, it is always a joy and a treat to talk to you, man. And before I let you go, you did admit that Lamar got away with one against Valley. You did admit that, right?
I will. Yeah, I did admit that. I will. Yeah, I
Well,
do
look,
admit that.
okay, my friend, I'm going to let you have some closing thoughts and comments, and the floor is now yours.
Okay, I originally said that Lamar, that it was going to take 4 to 5 years. I think this is going to be more like a 3-year rebuild. They got tight end Mason Sykes. He transferred to Boise State, but there's a hole there. There's a question at quarterback. Do have Miles Wanza running back. He returns. But, the first year, anytime a new regime takes over, you're establishing a new culture. And with what's happened this offseason and no spring football, I'd say all bets are off. But I don't look for Lamar to. I see Mike Schultz went 2-9 in his first season. I see something similar here, but expect Lamar to have a top 30 recruiting class. I would go out on a limb, say maybe a winning season in year 2. That's not too far fetched. Year 3, I would say that they're a playoff contender.
Okay. Okay. Well, that sounds good. Meanwhile, what we're going to have to do, my friend, we're going to have to find a copy or two of the college football 2007-2008 season with the FCS programs so we can try to conjure up some of these FCS fantasy games. How does that sound?
Hey, that sounds great. I'm staring at my Xbox 360 right here. As a matter of fact, I'm watching Netflix and what's that show called with the junior college football? I can't.
Last Chance U.
Yeah. That's interesting. I like that though. That's real though.
It's real and it's from football, and anything beats nothing at all, right, my friend?
Right. That's all
All
you can
right.
do.
He is Rob Butler, the Southland consultant for the Open Mic Broadcast Network. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. As always, we appreciate you guys joining in with us. Don't forget our social media handles, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter are at The Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel is Open Mic Broadcast Network, and our 24-hour dial-in message line, 713-570-6766. And until the next time, you guys be blessed. We'll see you on the side.